euro to go up. Still, it's still going up. And I just bought on pullbacks on limits here. And I got to get out of the other trade I'm in because that one is in profits. It won't be for long because I sold into the very top of that. So I have to cash out right now and take what I can get. Okay, so I'm left in just like 5K or 4K. So something like very small position. Although it gets annoying, and sometimes I'll just go like this and say, you know what? I have to be flat because to reload the whole gun now. So this is the account. It's been at 10 grand. This is the account that started at 5 grand. And I've been trading it through this psychosis of this rally that I think is blowing people's minds. Well, it shouldn't be because it's filling the void to the left that and it's the middle of the year, and the order imbalance is out of control. So there's things you can get, things you can't. I went on the Google and this store down the street lies and says they're open. I get down there, they're not open. Now I feel like an 8-year-old that can't get my ice cream, and I'm had to go hook up at the gas station to get something substitute comfort food. But I've been trying to build the toolbox. So this would be based upon only two entry techniques: limits or markets. You're either making a decision because of what time it is, or you're going to do it because it's a price issue. When the euro dollar goes screaming up and up and up, and people are like, why is it going up so hard so fast? All you need to do is see the fresh prices, as they call them. So the fresh prices are always the most insane because they get more insane. So maybe in 10 years, something's going to change. Gold will be $100 an ounce or $10,000 an ounce. But to make that prediction, to ride that move is a whole different story. Like, so if you're along the euro from way down at the bottom, the triple, quadruple bottom that just kept pounding down there, and you rode it for 1 month, it's been going up for days. This is like when the dollar yen would go down for 14 days, 14 bear candles. I ask, are you going to martingale into that? Depends. If you start to buy, when the market heats up, you got to throw your track out in front. If you're going to front run the market, you got to run real far in front of it. Inside of that stuff, though, inside of all those moves, is still the daily churning of the market. The market's only moving in a 100 pip range per day, but in your mind, you're looking at like a death toll of corona fucks. People getting fucked by corona. I envy the corona dead people, honestly. I mean, after all and then I go to the store tonight. Well, we're still closed. Are you kidding me? Out of 10 million people, there's 5,000 dead people, and you shut down the whole fucking world. You gotta be kidding me. So it just reminds me of if you went short the euro last month because it was in a downtrend. Don't forget, euro was in a downtrend. Gee, the reversal is pretty harsh. So now we've completed that whole wave. We're sitting now at the complete reconciling, the 6-month reconcile. Plus, you still got the delayed filing of taxes. Nobody knows what is on the table. Are these people able? Well, they can't adjust last year. But how much is really going to come in? These people haven't filed yet. I mean, if you believe in the Illuminati, they're going to be sitting there going, dude, what about this? When was the last time taxes were delayed? So everything is totally offset, totally crushed. But to the guy that's trying to make 40 pips a day, he doesn't even know about this shit. I know on the chart, you look at this shit, and that's when these guys, now, I would sell that the only time that these no nonsense people are making money, if they've dialed in the proper robot, is that move. 10 days up in the euro is a trend, a screaming trend. Just momentous reconciling. Crude's back to this, Boeing's back down. Boeing, gee, who couldn't figure out that was going to happen? Just order imbalance. So it's not a bear market. It's not a bull market. It never is. It's a bull market inherently because the stock market supposedly for all the, you know, so-called derivative factors, derivatives on top of derivatives, where people are like, what do we own, by the way? And then people are like, I don't know, hit the sell button. Well, it's just that transaction has been verified by the government, through the exchanges. So when Bitcoin went on the exchange is when Bitcoin became like socially acceptable. Bitcoins matter, everything's matter. Everything matters. Like I never. What about just spoiled motherfuckers just having riots? Like, dude, you come near my place. I like that guy from Polk County or something. Dude, bring it. We're gonna blow you out. Bring it. We're gonna blow you out. So there is some. When you start to go into fresh prices too, you start to get this insane price action, right? Why so swift? So the guy asked me, well, Jesus, how much money do you need to sell into this? And you could look at this chart here, and I mean, sure, if you're sitting there all day and all you look at is the 1 hour chart and you're looking back a couple of days, you can't see what's driving the market. You can't see that insane void. Look at this weekly. Are you serious? You didn't think that this was a problem? This doji down here in the weekly? You didn't think that was going to be a problem? How many dojis do you see on a weekly chart? Okay, that's the doji trade, right? You missed it. What's the other doji trade? People that love, see, if you love candlesticks, you'll understand you got to take that trade. That's a hammer, doji, and why you would need to take that trade. The trade of your life, really. If you're only going to live for the next 5 years, right? If you happen to capture that entry, I mean, think about these setups that people speak about, but they do occur. I am cherry picking it. This is not the fucking doji we're on now. You got to wait next week. Then there's a trade for everybody. So yeah, if you started selling above this rooftop and you sold that, in there's a scalp. You needed to get the fuck out because it's staring down this vacuum. It's coming after this bozo. Right? It may come back so that on the weekly, there's only these two rooftops, but this one's a big one. Just like, so here's the thing. When the market was here, could you draw this line? When the market was here, could you draw that line? Yeah, that line exists in this is a threshold of price. That's all it is. Look how they retest that. But what about this threshold that was created back here? Weekly charts. These are insane setups, but you could do the same trade on the 1 hour chart or the 5-minute chart. Just so happens this is a 25 pip grid. So if you're selling in this window, and I'm sure there's a guy, I guarantee you there's a trader somewhere that draws their trend lines on Wix. They have a trend line like this, and they're saying, well, I'm going to sell as soon as you break that trend line. Look at that great trade I made. Gotcha. Even pulled back, and this became a pulls back into the trend line, rallies, and then down. And the guy that says, well, I only get in when I see a small body. And, well, I guess he could say he got in here and he got trapped. He went short here. He thought that was another, that was going to keep tanking. And this is where, if you told a robot explicitly, do this trade, they go, well, I took the trade, like you said, when they paused, I got in at the doji. I'm a trend trader. Went short there. What the fuck? It's going to keep going down, right? And everybody's projections are so silly. I mean, the government can project better than most people. Of course, it's just one single projection at one single angle, as if the market doesn't zigzag. This is 2 weeks straight clean up. But bam, bam, bam. Now, when the market closed here, the guy that's on the larger time frames, I mean, in the whole context of everything, right? So in the world of everything, you're just down here. I mean, it's just hard to believe. I mean, this is an astounding move. This is an astounding move. But what does it mean for anything? What I have to say is that for the rest of my life, as I know it, this is going to be resistance. And there are going to be people selling here that's a guaranteed short. Will it come all the way back down to the rock bottom prices of here? Maybe not. So going into this, it's kind of easy money, because if you're aware of these voids, just like this one back here, you got to look at the weekly, because you got to know when you see a doji on the weekly, anywhere on this chart, if you look back, now you got to be able to see the bodies. And if you're a candlestick trader, you should be able to trade just like minimal data. Just forget about everything here. Just, you should be able to take this and say, okay, what is the current candle? You could test yourself. Go on a strategy tester, because, okay, this is less, this is a simpler view, because how could you fuck this up, right? All you have to do is go to the monthly. If that's not enough data, you just got to know, look at this monthly doji. What the fuck is that? That isn't, I've never in my life seen a thing like that. I mean, look, on the monthly? That reminds me when the yen bottomed out. Holy shit. So this is quite the enormous moving, the euro dollar. And look at all this shit. Are you really going to tell me in what alternate universe that if I put 100 period moving average on this chart, I'm going to be able to make money monthly, or even a 20 period moving average? I guess the 20. Okay, here, I'll give you this. A 10 period moving average on the monthly chart. Go with the trend. Well, what you're saying is, it's like having I mean, you're still going to wait, but I would say in that instance, you're going to wait for it to rally above the 10. So if I put a 10 period moving average on here, you'd say, yeah, that looks like a gold mine, but the setups are going to come like once a year. Yeah, I get it in one trade. So, I mean, on the Wix, it's better to trade these little mini VACs, right? Like if you're going to do that, then on the monthly, you'd be saying, if you think it's going down, right? Let's just imagine that once it took this out, you said, well, all these dojis banging on here. I think that this void is looming. That this is a problem. We could fill this, and we do fill that, and now we're just bobbing above it. But there's sellers up here to scalp it and to take it back. Right, so this is just an unsustainable rate of change. As you zoom in and zoom out, I mean, you just have to think, well, here's the fucking trend trade right there, the doji on the daily. So if you're going to do the candlesticks on the daily, it's easy. Right now you're selling. After a big up move, you sell. Here, you sell, but you only make like a few pips. if you're going to go against it, if you're going to go into this, when it comes into this window, you got to take these trades off the table. There's on the 4 hour, there's trades in there. So short up here. Now it's coming into my buy limits. I put a bunch of break even orders in here. I'm testing my break even strategy. Worse than break even. So I'm actually only down a $1.96. I started with $12.93.50, and I'm in 5K, 1,001 leverage. So I'm trying to get the toolbox fitted, and I'm going to go with singles. So this is going to be, instead of these basket trades here, because these are like if you've got about 10 grand in the account, you could start dropping these things. Because you don't give a fuck then. You're just like, yeah, you know what? Let's buy like 150K right here as it pulls off the top here. Pretty hard. This is a window. This is a better example. So right now it's almost 4 in the morning. I expect this thing to come ripping back super deep, but I put it in so that any dead cat bounce will scalp out. Very tight stops here too. About to get stopped out of here. Pure no market orders here. Pure limits too. So psychologically, it's easier to think about what could happen instead of getting in at the market and kind of hoping something's going to happen. So passive trading is what this is. Also, stop entry is supposedly passive trading because it's confirmation when the market explodes. Before the euro took off out of those dojis, you could have easily put in the, you could trade all that stuff around there. So you really have to, at the end of every day, there's going to be a candle on the daily chart. And so if you see a doji, you know that probably on the 4 hour chart there's a flag or a pennant or a whatever. But what does that mean? It's a momentum situation. But do you want to enter on the wicks or do you want to enter before the wick happens? Do you want to get in before the explosion or do you want to get in while it's exploding and you think it's just a puff of smoke? It's not a real explosion. So to judge that, and then it starts to die out, right? So the volatility kind of everything kind of just starts to relax after a pounding like that, and it's just kind of a rush to the exit door. It's also a full moon. And so all these things, people will make claims of cycles, and this is where the whole cycle thing came from. But it is the end of the month. It is the end of 6 months. It is crude oil just came back. The dollar has now been, for whatever, you could say, well, they printed all the money and that made the market go up. Nah, I don't think so. I think that was just, like I said, the order imbalance goes around, and maybe that is it, but I don't think I'm going to go to zero hedge to decide, or this commitment of traders to decide whether I'm going to trade or not, because, okay, so I'm in like 7K now. I want to see this crush back. So here's the window of sell, and why would you sell between these two yellow lines up here? If I go to the different time frames, okay, 1293, almost the top of the hour. So big panic. This half-hour chart, big panic move coming, rushing back. So this came out of the daily charts. I marked off that's why I have these big wicks so I can see the top of this supply zone here. But above this one, okay, that was the critical one. Okay, I drew these on the weekly, so I'll go back and forth, but this is the deepest one. And that scalp is come and gone. You know, you sold the top of that. If you go to the 4 hour, if you go to the 1 hour, okay, that just happened. So the other thing is that you knew that price existed up there. So why didn't you have a sell limit up there? Well, if you started selling into this, you probably don't have any money left. Or you can't fucking believe it, right? So it's this top here. There's a 20 pip window of about 20 pip window to sell there. Didn't quite make the 114, but quite a pounding move. But there was a scalp before that, right here on the top of this wick. So this way, if you're only trying to make 100 pips, I don't know how many pips you're trying to make. And by the way, the scripts I dropped expired before this market even smashed up there, so they only lasted a day. So I put them in. If I only put them in for 3 hours, I didn't even catch that move. So it just doesn't matter. I mean, unless you were, if you traded this, you could trade this really small. You'd have to ask yourself things like, well, what's wrong with these trades? That's 200 pips. That's 200 pips. 200 pips. 200 pips. Yeah, I know this thing went. This looks like the death toll. But you had to be conscious of this price at the end of the month. We were here. And we came up here. Yeah, there was a scalp off of that. Came right back here. Okay. Then rip your face off. Why is it ripping your face off? When they took this was the oldest known. So breakout, kind of pull back to that, and then just off to the races. And it's not some trick. It's the fact that there's this supply demand zone, this trading zone here, and look at all that wonderful trading in there. Now you know there was people going, oh yeah, that we'll cash in on that fresh price. Then it was off to the this is where people are like, well, this has got to be a great place to sell, and it sure was. Look at, comes in there, spend some time in that price. If you go to the 4 hour, you need to zoom out to see that. See, but if you don't change the scale, you can always see these trades. So see this big pullback here. So that was a great trade. It's really range trading too. I mean, look at all this zigzags here in the 4 hour. You know that these are all just amazing sell. And this is the trade I was doing was, I think before the last video was the pullback here. I think it was this pullback. Somewhere I just said, I think this was right here. I said, that's it. That's it. You got to get out. Or it was this pullback. This is the bigger pullback. See, but it keeps ranging at an angle. It doesn't matter whether, it's hard to believe it doesn't matter that it's screaming up. Because if you're the person selling these new highs like this on the 4 hour and you're cashing out, and then yeah, maybe you did ride this one and you just go, oh yeah, when they hit this one, they're gonna rip it back and they're gonna go into this place. And they actually went under there. So it's this constant ebb and flow. And I think there's more money to be made if you just traded. In other words, because we're up here, it doesn't matter. It's just the same old market. So this the 1 hour chart view is like, here you can see clearly, this is your first fill, right, on that window. Look at that screaming pullback. How is that not a good trade? That's the 1 hour. You tag that thing. Look at that scream clean back, then clean up and clean. This is the 1 hour chart, right? But imagine this pulling back. So I did imagine it's pulling back, and I put all these buy limits in. Now some of these are just ridiculous. I mean, I'm risking like 15 pips to make 10. So I'm experimenting, and the spread's too fixed, so I'm experimenting with the order placement is in the where the stops are for the where the bulls put their stops. So here's 1 hour smashed down, right? Pure market, pure limits, no market orders. So I got stopped out of something, but I'm in a 10K. I lost a couple K. I hate when that happens because I feel like, you know what? I could do better than that. I got in too early. I mean, I got into, uh, it's a topic I'm about them right now. At this point, now, I don't think that, so I put these targets that are about to cash out because I don't think it's going to go necessarily and take out this high. I actually have the expectation we could go lower and I would get into another 20K and make money on that, honestly. I think that that's, if you don't trade it, if you're going to start trading, never trade at the market because if you do that, you got to say it's 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm buying at the market because it's down into this thing and I'm just going to pull the trigger on that. Whereas when it just stream limits all the way down, put it 100K and maybe they fill 50. So worst case scenario, in some guy asking how much money do you need to sell into this thing? Like I said, never stand in front of this train, this weekly train, because it's too much. When I go like down to this, you can see how ridiculous this view of the market is. If I'm only trying to make, who cares about the death toll? This is the death toll of the bears. But people love that shit. We're only trying to make a few pips for God's sakes. But yeah, look at this. Look at this 4 hour chart. Look at this. Look at this pounding into the. So once you take out this, here was your chance to sell it. So you had all these windows. You just, not only that, you had to have targets that were like 50 pips. If you were planning on selling this new high in that window for that pullback, and then you had to get out because it's just running out of sun. There's nobody selling it, and you could have buy limits trailing here the whole time and not even get any risk going. If you're going to trade it from the long side, you got to put your buy limits in these little mini VACs, right? Right here, like now, this is where people accumulating a long position, they just buy everything. Just buy linear. Fibonacci is bullshit. You want to buy every 10 pips, right? Plus you're buying at the market. Boom, boom, boom. They're walking it down here. Sure, it could tank. It could tank. But when the market just starts to, we're cutting fresh water, right? You know where we're at in the story. So on the 4 hour, it's invisible on the daily. It's invisible, so to speak. Although that's right about here. So this is the window of the drama because of that. I don't know how to say it. It's just old prices that fresh. They're old, what old is new again. There's something about that and the attraction, the path of least resistance, really. This was a nice, so if you believe in sideways markets, I would say here's the trend. So what's the cause for the trend is either accumulation distribution or this sideways action. So this is tradable a lot easier in a way, but not if you're looking for this glorious move that you traded one day and you thought, Jesus Christ, that's a move. Even this down move, which is, but see this down move, how brutal this is. This is not good. It's very brutal. It goes down, right? But it comes back and revisits. Revisits this thing like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Comes back to here. You're like, God damn. And then down. Oh, man. Like, it's a real clearinghouse. Clearinghouse sweepstakes. Okay, so it's waiting for U.S. markets to still in this 10K. They're just I'm up a penny, so a lot of waiting too. I don't think I could wait for a setup on the monthly. Although I'll tell you, you do a monthly chart with a 10-period moving average, you think this is like the holy grail. But you have to keep changing your size based on volatility because how are you gonna survive? You know, I mean, if you got $3 million account, if you're a prop trader and you're trying to make the 5%, but if you don't have $3 million and you're just trying to make X, and the British pound's not even moving as hard, the euro's moving the hardest, but it had the biggest void to fill, and a lot of money has to shift around. I think because of the say gold goes up to 1750, I would definitely be cashing out there. Even Bitcoin hit 10,000 again there, so everything kind of just slamming into known prices now. This is not uncharted water for the euro. It'd be worse if the euro was dropping lower and lower. It'd be harder to gauge. Well, now it's coming back into fair value of the current thing. But yeah, the just before we left this sideways here, this is 200 pips of nonsense for people who are trying to trend trade that they're like, damn, I just can't get a break to keep manipulating it. And then this one more attempt, then you come back. But before you leave the station, before you start to finally cut into this hole everybody's been dying, I'm sure the bulls are dying to see that cut into. But once again, the deep wicks, people that buy below the 100-yard line, we just keep doing this. Look how stupid this 50 pips here, and then the 4 hour, it's obvious, right? So I'm building this toolbox. We'll have a 10 pip stop all the way to like maybe a 55 pip stop at the markets with 5 pips between. So you're going to go 5, 10, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Buys and sells, the rest are drops. No stop entry. So, because it's bad enough, trading at the market would be your like, at the end of the day, let's buy here, or let's every 4 hours. It's every 4 hours. You look at the chart, you're like, sell at the market, not buy at the market, but I'm gonna make it so it's symmetrical. The stops for the buys are the same as the stops for the sells. And since the drops, I have a single drop that becomes a limit either way. And it's no dollar amount. It's just going to be the number. So because this game's designed around time. So it's basically money, time, and money. So it's how much per ticket are you going to risk? So the guy that asked, well, so how much does it cost to sell into this thing? I'd say find out how much ticket. So see, it's not going my way right now. So this is where it's dicey. I'm just range trading it with this demo account, but it's just bobbing around here. But I'm still concerned about it. Okay, I think it's going to crash now, right? So I don't think that. I think they're coming after my limits now. So I did put the break evens in there. Let's see what happens. But see, it's about to cash out of this one. If it gets filled in another 10K, then there's a higher probability that's going to scalp that out. that's my and I'm using a 10 pip grid here, and I'm just kind of messing around. I'm just day trading, even though I realize that it's like, wow, could you still be buying here? Yeah, I guess, because if it comes back and starts hunting these guys, I do want to buy their stops, right? Some guy's got to stop here. He's like, well, I'll move my stop back because, I'll move my stop back to here. So I have buy limits down here in case we raid this price, which you totally could, and we could just go up, down, up, down, up, down, and then just go psychotic up, psychotic down, which we saw yesterday. Before this, now this was the bid when they came out with the bid thing for the news on the euro. You're already inching. So I've seen this before on a 4-hour chart where you're inching into this zone, and here comes the news. And my God, it goes both ways. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and it finishes in a doji with 50 pip wicks on the up and down side. And you're like, what the fuck? Now, you can trade it. Are you going to trade like that every day because it happens to move 80 pips and you happen to put an 80 pip grid in? It just happens to, I mean, I don't know. I think you could just trade like classic style, like, hey, it's 4 in the morning and look at this fucking price. This is overbought. Or um, the market's quiet. Let's just trade with the 10 pip stops right now. So this will try to be an all-purpose toolbox. I mean, I'm thinking 10 pip stop. That's pretty tight. And depending how fast your computer is and your broker, you could just nail like the 10, 15, 20, 25. You can put a 10K in with different stops. I wouldn't pull the trigger fast in a row because if you wait 3 minutes, you'll get either a worse price or a better. So if you're buying at the market, buy and wait for it to go against you before you buy again at the market. And if you got limits in there, so first come in with limits for me, because then I'm just going to be like, that's support. I'm putting a limit in. 10K. So I'm in a 10K right now. Put a limit in there. And even now I could say, you know what? Just like Ren and Stimpy, I could say, no, sir, don't like it. And just get out, right? So here's the half. If I go to the 15, I can make that decision on the 15th. So if I trade at the market on the 15, I got the market orders here. Buy, sell, buy, sell. Now, is this bottom becoming a top on the 15? I could scalp out right now. Like it's okay because if I scalped out, I'd probably put sell limits in right now above. So let me do that. Okay, let me do that. It's putting it in here. So trying to get everything organized. All right. Because this is too complicated. This is something maybe, like I say, if you have a lot of money in the account, because here you're dropping like 7K in a 20 pip zone with a 40 pip stop to make 20 pips. And I mean, that's still $28 to make 14 if everything plays out. So I'm going to let this thing challenge this floor here on the 15. And so the 15-minute chart just updated. So if I was in a really big position, I'd just already get out of something. Like if I thought, oh, this looks like, So if you're trying to trade every zigzag, which I'm really not doing here because I think 10K is not that much. I could get out right now. We could still see this thing come smashing down. But smashing up is kind of, it's like as the riots die down. Look at this thing up here. Now that's a nice 30 pips off the top. Just dumbass selling new highs. In fact, if you started selling new highs right here, you're up on the trade. You're slightly up. You start selling up into that. Now, when people say the word martingale, what they're saying, they're scaling in. You're scaling in progressively. You're really scaling in if you're going to do the martingale thing. If you just get in a linear grid, which is what Ryan's robot does, he just starts throwing shit out that's 5 and 10 pips apart based on some kind of criteria from some kind of strength indicator. But here I'm actually going to say I could go trade another currency with this now, because if the spread is not too vicious, if it's of course in Asia, you're going to have to go flat. Like you have to get out of all your positions. With the broker like this, like most brokers that don't have enough people to trade there. I don't know if that's what causing their spread to go to shit, but they don't have enough providers to get a better price. So they're left with a bad price. And their spread sucks in Asia. And so like they're going to tank again here. So possible tankage. Like I said, if I could get into more K, I'd be better with that. So does that matter? And like, long are you trying to be in these trades? Now, granted, if you sold into the British pound, the guppy, and these things euro dollar, and you wait like 2 weeks, maybe you pull back 50% of that move. Now, if you did martingale to the top and you hold the whole thing, presupposing you also hold on to that, that's a lot of money. And it's very fast money because it's just like 1 week up, 1 week down, boom, you're out. Now, holding onto a position for months to make 1,000 pips. People say, I'm in that trade for 4 months, I made 1,000 pips. Well, no shit. That's great, but I personally couldn't endure that. I'd rather have another lockdown. In fact, I was thinking today that the traffic was so bad, I thought, is there a second wave coming? Because there's just too many fucking people on the road. I'm ready for the second wave. Or maybe the what riots were the second wave. I didn't check with Q, so. Yeah. I got a zero hedge for my trades. Commitment traders. Okay, so this is where it's just set it and forget it trading, really. Buying the pullback here for the scalp. So I think we are going to crush down. So I'm going to put in some bad ratios. I'll risk 50 pips. Well, this is too wide of a zone. So these are kind of complicated. I'm not putting these in the toolbox necessarily. $15 to make 15 bucks here. 8 hours to buy a 12 pip window. Okay, let's start buying right below here. We'll just step out in front of it with all these tickets like this. So now I can just lace these in. I probably got about 120K pending. I'm only in 10K and I'm down like 2K. I got stepped down $2. Actually 4 if you count the profit there. Oh no, that should be right. No, once the balance goes down, that profit, you have to add that to that. So I'm actually down like $4. Cash out now. Yeah, so yeah, it's tough because these guys that are doing these daily algorithms, they must just feel great when they're winning because they probably make up for all the losses. I just don't know why you can't look at a 4-hour chart and make sense of it. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. There's only 6 bars a day, man. I mean, do a line chart, honestly. I mean, I think it's, if you're going to just say, well, my algorithms, well, we trade the daily chart, that's just how it is. Okay, but oof. The market's gone up and down like 50 pips during the day and like finishes unchanged, but you're going to, I mean, how do you do that? I mean, the whole week it goes up and down, bookends, range trading all week, and you're going to deny that trade? I just don't even, I guess, right? You're driving some big giant earth mover. Do you care about like the sports car you just crushed? I don't know. It's just, what's what institutional trading's about, son? We hold these positions like a straitjacket. Like, I'm not in that trade, man. Like, I want to get out of this trade I'm in. Like this, I can't even handle being on this thing for like 3 hours. That's my limit. Look at all these shenanigans. Look at this thing rocket up and come back. What the fuck is... I understand why people think the market's been being manipulated. Yeah, I think so. I mean, people are... This 15-minute chart, half-hour chart looks a lot more tame. This looks more orderly, but yeah, the 15-minute chart, a 5-minute chart. There you go. So here you could build a position with a 10 pip stop. Like you just every time it's up on the 5, you sell, you sell, you sell, and then you clear it, then you take it off the table. Here you'd be buying with a very tight stop, right? So, you could go to the 5 and say, yeah, I'm just trying to make like 10 pips. I mean, here's fucking 10 pip grid right here. This is not that hard. 5-minute chart. Come on. Buy a little bit here. But look at this. You'd buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'd be in an 8K there. Wait for that blast. That's the exact same blast that we got on the 4-hour chart. The exact same fractal, exact same design. So sellers did come in here at the floor, right? On the 15, this is the 5. They came in. They defended that. Coming back. But this was the scalp. Now we come here. Boom, 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 boom. Are we going to go this way? Or are we going to go that way? So if you're trading really big, and you would be if you watched the 5-minute chart and you got your finger on the trigger, but when you buy this pullback, okay, that's screamed up. How you have to realize if you buy this pullback thinking it's going to keep screaming up like that, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, this is the 5-minute chart, right? So when they walk it back, when the market comes back down, I guess you have to have some type of feel for, well, how many pips is that? These are like 5 pip, 4 pip, 5 pip, 4 pip. It goes screaming up like that is got to be an hour and a half or an hour, like 45 minutes straight up, an hour straight up. Look at that thing, 15 minutes and that last burst. And so I have the sell limits up here. Now, it's kind of exciting in a way because I don't know how far they're going to take it above. This is kind of a big deal. Once you take out the double top from yesterday, but that's where I'm selling into that. So how many tickets can you put up in here, So if you martingale this, it's going to be a 1K, a 2K, a 3K. But this is the window that you knew existed even when the market was trading here. So you should have had a stack of orders in here. Even if it was only an order here that never got filled, it's the logical trade. So on the 15, here was the triple top. People are selling into that. They pull it back a 1, 2, 3, pull back into that. Here comes the buyers. I'm going to probably start selling here. I'm definitely going to sell above here. And then this is going to be all estimation. How far can they push it? Well, if I put sell limits way up, thinking, oh, what if it goes 100 pips north? Sure, do that, because if you got enough money to afford that move, you don't know if that's going to be a good trade. Look, it's getting all spazzed out here because it's 5 minutes before the bottom of the hour. So it looks like we're going to get a pop to the upside. So we'll be able to make the run after all. They won't shut down my internet connection again this month. Okay. So 15-minute chart. 4:30 in the morning. I got targets. I'll probably be getting out of something here. Here's my worst fill here. I have the take profits color turned off because all I'm interested in is where did I get in this, so I can see whether I'm up or not just by looking at the chart. I'm like, did I get in like And if I don't think I'm in big enough, and I'm think, oh yeah, this looks like so, it's a balance between the limits because I have to wait till the bottom of the hour here because we could still spike down. We could just go ripping down, and I could fill like 20K, and I'd make like $20. So that's another reason I'm trading 1,001 margin because I can't do math. So for me, it's like make $20. If we go on, if I fill an 80K, I'll make $80 to $160 on the dead cat bounce portion. Now, if I still have the swing trade orders in, so here's the things I'm writing. It's pretty detailed. I didn't realize that it was going to come down to this, but so in the toolbox, we've got the trade kind of trade management here. Close all, open and pendings. So I made it hard to do that. Close all. This is kind of a panic button. That's at the top of the stack. You can arrange it however you want, but and this is close all profits if I'm trading multiple currencies, which I was trading the pound because it just was in had a better supply demand zone. So I traded a little bit of pound. I go, oh, the spread sucks a little bit there, and it moves giant, so you have to have wider stops. You'll never survive the trade. Where the euro here is very tight, and if you want to do that, where you see that the account's up, you don't want to look at every chart. So I'm doing that on the other demo. I don't want to look at every chart. I see I'm up. I was doing that with Ryan's bot. I would just say close all profitable. Just I see I'm up. I'm like, these markets move up and down. Your entry is as shitty as any other entry you'll ever do in your life because that's why I'm trading all these tiny orders. I'm not gonna fucking this trade better work out. I got like this has gotta go up. I mean, it's just can't do it. It's too nerve wracking. So the answer is get out. You can get right back in. If you got pendings in some other markets, they might fill those. If they're at logical levels, then it's going to be easy. You see it, you're up, you pluck it off. So I'm looking at the Android and I can see, oh, the account's up. Okay, I just come here and just close all profits, go back to sleep or go do something. And wait for the next thing to fill. So I've been looking at the phone to see if I got filled instead of looking at the chart. So I don't need to look at the chart because I see the chart in my mind's eye. I already know the structure. I just put the orders in, then I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And then I can stare at the phone and kind of see how it's filling, if it's not filling. If I don't see any fills, I'm like, wow, what the fuck? I mean, I must be way too far away from the market. Like, look at some of these limits. Are you kidding me? Okay, now it's 4:30. Another moment of truth. We walked down to 15. Now, if you're a 15-minute trader, you just bought the market because it's down. Doesn't mean that you're going to be right. It could still keep dripping down. There's a lot of house to be cleaned down here. I'm sure that they're going to raid that before the Dow Jones opens for sure. But maybe we go up first. I'm buying into this back into below the breakout point. So most of the breakout confirmation traders wait for this breakout here. And then they buy and pull back. And here they kind of just got destroyed, right? Because it just went deeper in. And some people will say, well, I'll buy this one. Well, you got a 15-minute bounce out of that trade. Well, I'll buy this cluster here. This is the doji on the larger time frame, or I'll just like this worked out. We bought this triple top, became a bottom here. I got perfect setup, moving averages. I'm sure the moving averages look great here on the 20 EMA. But how long were you going to hold that trade? Were you going to trail your stop and get stopped out here and go, well, I made money? Or you accept the structure as the ultimate ruler. Sure, market does that blast and coincides with nobody at a bank is watching the indicators and trying to design the world against you. Sorry. People aren't doing MACD in the 1 hour and going, well, look at this kind of like, looks like a good setup, but watch us move the market against the MACD. Really, come on. It's a Robinacci view of reality. How Robinacci did during the covert. He's probably going, I told you so. For all the fun I've made of Robinacci, he's probably saying, now look at you. Look at you over there. I can see in the restaurant. I know. I see what you're trading there. They know that I know. I call this, what is this? Corona Nachi. The latest version. So having a market orders available because, say I thought, well, you know what? Um, I am just going to buy here like a goober as it drops. I'm underwater on some of these, but this is actually a limit order here. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I did pull the trigger on one of these. So I don't know. But usually those are the worst. The market orders are the worst fill you'll ever get. Because here I've got a lot of dry powder. I'm still holding that original 10K. And I don't think we're going to take out the high of the day necessarily. But if we just make it halfway there, that's fine. This could be lights out for this currency. It is the end of the week. It is the last day of the week. If you go to the 4-hour chart, you say like, no, you don't want to buy that. That's like an inverted hammer that's about to. In 25 minutes, we're going to update this 4-hour chart. You're going to have inverted hammer. Yeah, like I'm just trying to do a scalp here on the 1 hour. But yeah, that's kind of like yikes. Like I said, I don't. I mean, I'm looking at it from a day trading standpoint. So they'll make maybe another attempt, but I'm like, God, really? You guys would buy? You guys would? Who would buy beyond that wick, right? So you got to be cashing out. You got to be a seller up there. So I'm going to put my sells up there. And I'll put some bad ratios up there. By the way, that's my new thing. Is here is a 10 pip stop to make 8 pips. Okay, so I'm going to make 80 cents on that. Now, how many of those can I lay in there? And should I just put a rack in? So, I mean, I kind of make it so that it's hard to lose money. Hard to lose a lot of money. Look at that, 80 cents. Would you take that trade? Now you can make that a standard lot, I suppose. We just $100 to make 80 bucks. That's not the real number because there's no spread built into that. These numbers, these are just raw stops. Here's 11 pip stop for 3 hours to make 26 pips. Would you buy that down here? Now, the thing that I have been doing here is these do say LD limit drop, and I guess that's okay. I want it to be really narrow so I can get the most amount. So I'm trying to get down to this situation where very clean. We have market orders, we have limits. This is the toolbox. As you go near the bottom, this daily, I want to stay away from the dailies. I want to run 12 hours because the daily is just too big a commitment and exposure. And I'm usually going to be able to get to this every 4 hours or every hour. Like if I wake up at 2 in the morning, I got up and cashed out of that sell I had on the other broker coming off that. And if you're trading more than one currency, it's like trading more than one broker. I mean, it's a lot to focus on. Of course, I could, you can't do everything at once. So I have the demo running, and I'm not going to really trade the demo as diligently as I would real money. And I'm going to experiment with on that and say, I can afford it because it's got more money in it right now. It's got, it's flat, waiting to fill. So now I can come in here and say, I'm going to put in some tickets on this one. On this one, I am going to do the monster drops because there's $7,000 in here. So I'm not going to trade this like the single drops. Because I don't really care so much about the demo, and I was up to $10,000 by getting in like that. And there's not much of a limit on this broker either, so I think it's about 1,000 tickets. Now here I will put the dailies in because I don't want to have to look at this fucking account. Here's 30 pips to make 30 pips. So let's start here. That's conceivable. We could come back to where we're at now in price. Pretty wide stop. I could put these grid drops. I've done it before. The grid drops in a separate folder. I could be expanding these, but this is a different style of trading because here you're saying for all day long, I'm going to put in a 10K in a 10 pip window with a 28 pip stop to make 36 pips, and I'm putting it right here. Now you kind of I need a mouse and a trackball to do this because I can't do this on tablet because you can't come to a tablet and grab this thing and drag it over. You're going to drop it accidentally. Or maybe I just don't have the technique. Here I can hold this and hover and say, this is a daily commitment here. This is like, I'm going to put it down here. I'll drop it starting at this this supply zone here. Now, it may not fill, but what if the news comes out and it's bad? I don't know if there's news coming out. Market smashes down into this 10 pip window. This is a 25 pip grid, so it looks very small and narrow there. Then rips out. So the other one is the 12-hour scripts. Okay, well, there's not even 12 hours left in the market, so it's counting down. I gotta fix the scale here because I want to put some singles in now. But it's like planting a garden, I suppose. You're waiting for the sun to come. You just can't force a trade. So I know I'm probably getting filled on my other account. I see this dropping here. So here I'm going to put these 1 hour tickets in. And this is not a very good, I want to do the bad ratio on this one. So double click is a completely different world because they're very difficult because the double click, you got to read this script. So I'm going to put a double click in just to show you. So that's hardwired. That's going to buy a 3K for 15 minutes. That's 30 minutes. So that is a 4 pip stop. No, I'm sorry. That's a 28 pip stop. And so this script is completely different style. I could also drag and drop it. It's still going to come in just like that. Now you could trade like that too, also. But if you do it by the single drops, that would give you something to do because there's not much to do in these markets. So if you go over a single drop, and I wish I had a bad ratio on this one, I didn't write one yet. I'm going to place it down here where I know there's this value zone. And I'll put 3 hour tickets in here. And the deeper I go, this broker's got the worst connection. It's actually denying me dropping an order in the euro. If I put a 3 hour pack in here, then I want to put the 8 hour tickets down here. Because then I'm creating an auction down here. 15 pip stop to make 25 pips. If the market gets there, it's got 8 hours to get there. If it takes 10 hours to get there, I don't get filled. So the news script, or the idea of getting in at the news, is to take a 1 hour script and drop it down here. Do you think this market could get down here in 1 hour? Right? So this is the key. You think the market could get down here by the end of the day? Yeah. In an hour, no. So this 15-minute double click, I'm just trying to make it clean, but if you blended them, it's going to be easier to take this 3K with a, here's a 6K with, oh, there's some bad ratios here. Here, risk 20 pips to make 10. 8 hours. Now here I would estimate maybe down here. Or I would rewrite this as a 1 hour script. Now, if you make these 1 hour scripts, then you'd be doing things like this where you're like, oh, for an hour, I'm going to put this in. I'll do that for an hour. That means the market has to drop. See, now you're capturing based on your exposure per hour. So the two questions in trading is how much money and how long do you want to be in this trade? So how long would involve patience and how much would involve risk? There's only two elements to trading, patience and risk. All the other analyzations and commitment to traders and level 2 and Fibonacci and all that, that's all like, am I making the right decision? You don't know if you are. It's like these dumb shits with the lockdown. I knew that was not the right decision, but who am I to say you shouldn't wear fucking, Depends and masks and fucking earplugs and ski goggles and snorkel and bring your own oxygen tanks. I should have showed up at the fucking store. Scuba gear. You'd be like, hey, yeah, can't talk. Sorry, read the fucking, talk to the hand, talk to the mask. It's comical, man. I'm living in a fucking movie. It's sadly comical. Unbelievable. Look, I got filled here. Would you look at that? On that 15-minute script, I think. Yeah, that's what did it. See, that's my 15-minute script filled me on that. Told you. I told you that was going to happen. So let me see if I'm probably got stopped out of something on that smash down. Oh, we picked up 3 more K, but we took a hit. So we're down a little bit there, $10, but we got filled. See how that worked out? And look at the 15-minute, right? Look at, they just nicked that wick there. See, and supplies don't stop out. Wow, we wasn't watching. So I couldn't have. Another reason why you want to trade limits is because would I be able to pull the trigger on that? Would I be able to nail it fast enough? And I'm about to scalp out of some of this stuff, so. These are my 80-cent winners. Okay, so the single drops. Like here's some bizarre, like risk 13 to make 12, 2 hours. I'll put it down here because we kind of got stopped out of those guys. So yeah, just keep doing this. Now on the sell side, yeah, let's sell up here. Let's sell this rooftop, and let's sell this rooftop here. What's good for the goose is good for the dildo. So there you go. We'll sell that if it goes up. Now this is no man's land up here, and I'm eager to sell up there too. So if you're afraid to sell up there, do it on the demo first. First, get yourself an inflatable Dow, son, and practice that routine you're thinking about. So here we're going to get out on the top of that. They sell new highs. We get out where the buyers should be coming in for the confirmation people. So let's put a big spread in there. Now I wrote all this shit, but I mean, I'll tell you, most of this is 8 hours, so this is an 8 hour commitment. 15-minute window. Let's sell more the higher it goes. So I'm going to martingale. I don't know if we're going up there today, but I think it's going to be the choppy woppy, and I think we're going to see maybe to here. So let's start selling here. Right into new highs. Let's try to make 80 pips with a 30 pip stop on this. And so let's build a whole sell thing up here. All day long. 8 hours and all day. On some are all day, but now these are the things that you would run in a market like we just saw if you don't want to risk too much money. How much money does it cost? Well, this is a 40 pip window. I'm going to put this on the buy side and imagine if the market was to smash down today, what this would look like. I'm giving it 8 hours to get there. This would be a 5K in a 40 pip window with an 80 pip stop to make 40 pips, risking 40 to make 20 in essence. Let's put it right here, starting right there. Now that canvas is a huge and it's logarithmic, so it martingales in naturally there. Put this one in between it. And then put one right there. So you're risking $60, right? Okay, so hopefully my other account's coming back here. All right, let's do this. Okay, so that's good. That's a good move there. So hopefully I cashed out of something. I guess not. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. Anyways, this is the window. This is where we get in. And so 5 in the morning. I think we still crushed down though. Look at that. I added those 2 tickets to it. I really want to get into a 40K and make $80. If it comes smashing down into here. Let's see if we can get it out of here. Okay, so this is good. They're charging commissions here. That's why I'm seeing the... okay, cashing out of that. I think it's going to drop. And I want to gobble this move up here. So, yeah, that's all just easy. Now let's go to the British pound. Let's start putting some trades on there. Now we can move on to the... now the pound has already come flying back off the top here. And this is the problem, is that trading multiple currencies, you know, this you'd be cashing out. You can see the sell up there. So here I'd be putting buy limits in right now. I'll start right there. I think the sell's done. Too late to sell. I'm looking for a psycho plunge now. In the British pound, I would go for these 40 pip windows. It's too much to... you didn't want to put them in tight. Not in this thing. We can get a fill here. So here's a 20 pip window. I'm going to come in below the low of the Asian session. There's going to be some drama today. Good scalps. I don't think that I'm a trend trader at all, because look, if that plunges down into there and then it rips back up, that's my trade. I'm just going to stack up as many tickets in here as... since there's $7,000, I'm going to lay it in like that. Okay. Here's another style chart of the same thing. British pound's tanking. 15-minute view. So we come right like this. Right in front of it. I'm expecting to get filled here. I can see my terminal. Okay. Still haven't filled on these tickets, amazingly. Huh. Would you look at that? Let's say I'm in the 2K. The 2K of the euro. I mean, of the British pound there. Okay, let's see what's going on with the euro dollar. So I'm going to look at my Android because I don't want to switch. So that was a great sell up at the top of that. I know it's hard to sell into that too. Look, everything's tanking now. I'm getting filled. I'm getting filled to pieces here. So look at this. They're crushing into my limits. Almost reached my 30K. Okay, so I'm in 27K. I wanted to get 30K going there, but oh well. So I'm going for the dead cat bounce here. A lot of tight stops. Break evens like 10 pip stops to make 8 pips here. I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but like I said, it's an experiment. I'm just curious to see such a great entry down here too. Just that amazing smash, and look how fast, and I don't have to pull the trigger on any of these trades. No market orders involved in that. But you had to know that was coming. We knew the ripe prices were going to be anything below here. We just knew it. And I put in so many tickets. I got about, I'd say, 70K pending there. Okay, that's 27 long. I do think that if it comes up here, I do want to sell it up there too. So I'm range trading it. Even though, yeah, I know it looks very dramatic the last few days. But really, that because we're up here on this range trading it, I figure it's the best place to range trade it. Here's where it kind of defies people, blows their mind. It actually comes down in here, so I'm going to buy here with a wider stop. 22 pip stops here, and this is 12 hours, so at the bottom of the rack, I'm going to put in the long, super long lasting, wide stop, but a wide target, because now I expect the retracement to be. So I want to get a 50K going here. So we'll try to make about 50 bucks. That'd be 10 pips. 20 if we can make 20 pips. I mean, 100 bucks would make 20 pips. Look at that. Look how brutal that fill is. So this is ripe for the pickings. We knew this was going to happen. So I'm down about 50 bucks. I'm going to put the wide stops down here. Last 6 hours here on this one. 20. So I've been writing all these odd, bizarre stops, but the deeper it goes, the more I'm buying. So it's a total martingale situation. We got to have these dead cat bounce bad ratios in here, so I can get into a 30K. So we got to a 30K. And I don't have to sit there and, so I can lay these tickets out in advance. Kind of retesting the lows from the last rally, but I'm like, really think we could go lower here. Take out this double bottom here and like a little flash spike. So this is the critical window here. But this is where you have to buy more. That's just how it is. Okay, so in there I have the 10 pip targets and the 8 pip targets, and it's only dropped 20 pips, and it looks very dramatic. I think this is what freaks people out about these markets, is the viciousness of the moves. Like this big up move here, it's like, holy shit, but look at that pullback, man. This is such a clean trade. I still want to get another 20K going here. Now, I didn't put in the super wide stops. So if say you put a 30 pip stop in to make 15, you're really betting on that 15 target, and it shouldn't be that hard to achieve. So this would be where we're going to cash out on almost everything. We could take off the worst target, the worst entry here too. So 15 minutes straight down spike, then rip here, and then maybe pauses, and then maybe does try to make a rally to here, and we could hold the whole thing. So that's the thing, is going underwater for this trade. If it goes up 20 pips, which is about what it dropped, we'll make $60. That'll put us at, let's see, that'll put us about up $20, I think. Yeah, well, it's just still waiting for U.S. markets to open. And so British pound. So just watching two currencies now. Looks like the British pound scalps over too. I think we might have made money here. I wasn't paying attention to the original. Okay, not as many fills here, but just the same. Now on the 15, I'm gonna get out. If we make it back to the floor on this one, I'll just scalp out the hole we fell in. Okay, that is the 15. So there's the top of the hour, and I'm going to have my finger on the target, on the cash output here. So this is the other thing, is that since I bought that wick, not a lot, just like if I had my finger on the trigger of the market order. So I accumulate on limits. Then I go down to the bottom of the rack here, and I got my finger on this guy. And then I look at my Android, and I say, you know what? When we get to like here, I'm going to get out. In this case, I'm not in that big. So I'm just going to let this thing sit here, because I know I got more buy limits sitting down that didn't get filled. So I want to be able to, in this one here, they're still in the 30K. The meltdown of the euro, as the British pound melts down, I think we could definitely go in this hole. So I'm going to start buying in that hole and beyond. Because my ultimate goal is to get into about 80K. 80K down here. I think if we survive this smash down, if we bounce, we're going to come to here. But it's okay if we don't, because I'm sizing into it, so I'm buying way more down here, and I don't think 30K is a lot. So to be in. Depends how much money you're trying to make, how many trades you're going to do per day, because if you're going to make $100 or $1,000 a day, or whatever it is, at the end of the week, you can take out money and buy stuff. But if you get your whole sitting in a trade that's up like 10 grand, and you've been in the trade for 3 months, I don't know. That's a different trade, I suppose. Okay, we're just waiting for this thing to be reconciled. Up and down. Oh, see more tanking to come here. So I could have scalped out. I had that moment I could have taken that off. That's 15-minute chart, so it's very hyperactive. Very hyperactive stuff. Okay, so we're straight down 2 hours in the euro dollar. I'm definitely buying on the 1 hour chart on the euro dollar because it's just down. You know, it's fucking down, so let's go to the 1 hour. And the 1 hour looks like, now this is the kind of unbelievableness about price action is that 4 hours up, 3 hours down. But see how fragile, like we could just crush all the way. I mean, the way these markets are, there's nothing stopping this thing from going after this. That's where I really want to load in today. So I got pendings down there. So the lower you go, the more you need to buy there. Okay, so we got 1 minute left. 50 seconds till 5 minutes after top of the hour, and then look out. So that was a nice scalp off the top. If you sold above the highs of yesterday, and we are running out of momentum, because this is probably the most vicious move, was the top. See, it's called blow off tops. On the way there, it's like, oh, it's kind of orderly, and then kablamo. So this could be total meltdown, eventually back to this, you know, where you left the station on the 1 hour. But I like the line chart because it's more structure oriented. Candlesticks are okay, but I can kind of just see that, you know, these are dojis, just small moves. I like this chart because I can see the wicks, I can see the stop hunt and all that stuff. Plus, I could just go like this. I mean, this is still 40 pips of trading there. That's a lot of window to look at. And so if I do this, then I can go to the time frames, and they make sense. So this would be accumulation and distribution. All these wicks here on the 5, just bam, 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 bam. And of course, look how close to the edge, right? 15. Straight down on the 15. Nice panic sell off. 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. We just updated the 4 hour. So we just went down. It's like the biggest last pullback if you want to go long. So here's where all my orders are stacked in. It's a different view than the half hour, 1 hour, 4 hour. Then the daily is kind of like, oh my God. We are so not pulling back, right? But this was the critical window. People sold that. They made some money. Even this guy's up on his trade slightly. He's right break even right now. Okay, we're going up. Now I'm just going to try to make it 20 pips on this trade, and then I don't care after that. And then it will put the sell limits above and go back to sleep, I suppose. I don't know. Go force somebody to open their restaurant. Why aren't there's rioters going around with guns and making people open your restaurant or blow your head off? Okay, I guess I'll take a knee for that burger. And these cops taking a knee. What the fuck is going on out here, people? Don't you understand? I don't get how people can be so absolutely... They're so woke. We care about you. 400 years of slavery. I was just listening to Scott Adams talk about how he was denied promotion. They took him in the office. They said, you know what? You'll never be promoted. You're white and you're a guy. He was told that twice by the phone company and by the bank. We need more diversity. Sorry, wrong color. It's so funny how why the leaders or the so-called top people have their head up their ass. Amazing. Mind-boggling. Kind of reminds me of the people selling their commitment to traders selling trading course. Don't you understand the commitment of traders? But you gotta understand how to read volume, son. You just don't understand. There's a lot of volume. There's a lot of people trading. Yeah. Okay, 15-minute chart says we're still down. The commitment of goobers report. And are we looking at the this guy sends me all the banks that trade Chase Manhattan, all these banks. I'm sure they're long the euro. I'm sure they bought it when it dropped, so they're cashing out now, obviously. Or they're selling it. Who isn't? Be a banker. Be the banker. Hey, you gotta think like a banker, see? I think like an institution. I got my straight jacket on. I'm ready to trade. That's kind of a quiet end of the week, isn't it? I think like the riots, this thing's popped its cork. Now they're going to start having memes for the protest. It's so sad. It's so embarrassing. I think that pussy hat going at the fucking riot too. What can we pile into this riot bullshit? And yeah, by the way, if you put your knee on somebody's neck, that's tough. But because the guy that put the knee on his neck happened to be white and the other guy was black, everybody assumes that that's racism. What fucking world are you from? Just because I sold the euro doesn't mean I'm bearish. It means I'm just going to sell it because I'm waiting to go long later, right? Amazing how people tie all this shit together. And then, of course, let's cash in. It's such a grand scale now. I think it's really like a big show. If you're not watching, though, it doesn't exist. It's kind of weird. It's like the markets. If a trader blows up his account in Cyprus, does it make a sound? Okay, so we're retracing now. I'll make some money here. If we have to lose a few, so only 30K. I was only able to achieve 30K here of fillage for the retracement to come. I hope it's going to retrace. You know, I got my life savings in this one trade here. Okay, we're coming back off the floor on the 15th, so I won't buy it as it goes up. I'm going to accept the size I'm into. I don't want to chase it. Okay, I'm only targets up here. So we bought that. Failed attempt to make a new low on the 15. Let's take a look at the British pound. British pound's recovering. So both accounts are making money here. I got the pounds trading here. He's up $8. He came back to the floor. Now I am tempted to get out right here because that is my exit is going to be back into the fold. But since I'm feeling like the volatility is in my favor, that we could overshoot the floor here and golf a little bit to this doji, and I'll cash out at the market. I'm going to give it 10 more minutes. So as we approach the bottom of the hour, I figure, now I'm just going to get out now. Forget what I said. So I'm just going to cash out. See how many I'm up on. Oh, so I'm still underwater. That's fine. So that's another thing is that now that I did that, I can put in limits. I'm going to put them in tight. So here I'm just going to try to make 18 pips. So the beauty of these drops is that you can just precisely put them in. You can't see them coming in because the candle's blocking them. You got to go to line chart, bar chart. There you go. Line chart doesn't exist. Apparently, I have a 0 color for that. So here you can see them stacking now. Buying a retest of that area. Go back to the candles. Okay, so we're still engulfing there. That's okay. So this guy is cashing out too. So this is the thing. I'm trying to make 20 to. I'm trying to make like $60 here. All right, so we could see this thing come back up into here now. Do you want to start selling on these tops on the 15 now? Just for the scalps to start it off with these bad ratios just to make something, and then we can have interlaced in here, we can have better ratios. So we got the bad ratios first and then the good ratios. So we're going to pay for the swing trade by having the bad. So here's the 17 to make 12, which I like this trade. And this is going to be like the big winner. Risk 22, and I'm expecting us to take out the low the day later. So I'm betting that in the trade. All right, let's see. We'll come back to the bottom of the hour.